Good day and welcome to today's training session. My name is Williams and I am thrilled to be your guide on this remarkable journey. We will be looking at data analytics with Excel. And as you all know, it's a very important tool. You must know whether you are an aspiring data analyst or not. So we'll be navigating directly to our Excel spreadsheet. Now, I want you to see Excel as your canvas. There is what we call a canvas. I want you to see Excel as your canvas, and I also want you to see your data, okay, as your paintbrush. I believe you can all hear me. Okay. Now, Excel is not just a spreadsheet. It is also a powerful tool that empowers you to unravel insights could be hidden within numbers. And as part of the training program, we want you to picture out, see yourself turning raw data into actionable information. Or imagine you making informed decisions and also creating compelling visualizations, all through the magic of Excel. So Excel is quite an important tool. You just have to be familiar with. It's very important. Okay. So in different contexts, you must have in-depth knowledge on what this tool has. Now, we can't delve into Excel without having an understanding of data analysis or data analytics. In one of our classes, we pointed out clearly that they are all terminologies. Either you're calling it analysis, data analysis, or data analytics. So what you just need to know is that data analysis or analytics just involves the process of collecting your data, transforming your data, cleaning your data, and modeling the data. We said one, that data analysis is a process of collecting your data, 2, transforming your data, 3, cleaning your data, and 4, modeling the data. Now, while you are looking at these different aspects, there must be a goal. There must be a goal. You can't just venture into something without having a goal. What is the goal? The goal is for you to discover the required information. So the results you will be obtaining, after obtaining those results, prior to your analysis, you have to communicate those results. So your duty here also looks into the aspect of communication. It also looks into the aspect of gathering your data, okay, which would be definitely on different sources, and look also into data visualization, because it's at times used to portray the data for the ease of discovering the useful patterns and trends in your data. So I want you to understand that the term data modeling, data analysis, all these have same, terminologies which you're expected to get acquainted with. Now, talking about data analysis, it has its process. And those processes are important for you to have at the back of your mind each time you are working as an analyst. Now, the first process is what we call data requirements specification. Data requirement specification. Data requirements specification. I believe you're putting this down. Secondly, the next data analysis process is the aspect of data collection or data gathering. Call it data gathering. The next is data processing. The next is data cleaning. The next is data analysis. The next is communication, data communication. So I believe you have taken this down. Okay, so please take notes of these steps I have just stated. They are very important steps. Okay, now, in as much as you're a data analyst in our training, we love doing our things to look unique. Okay, so practical begins right now. We'll still touch all aspects you need to take note of. All right, for example, you can see right here, I've entered the processes I made mention of, from data requirements to data communication. But if I ask you a question, is this data well arranged? There is a problem here. The data is not properly organized. So you must equip yourself with good organization skills to be able to identify, when certain data entered are not organized. For instance, we must make the first letters to be capital letters. You don't need to go in and start changing the small letter D to capital letter D. All you need to do is to use a function here in Excel called the proper. So I will come over here and say equal to proper. So you can see it, I hit my tab key. So which text do I want to rearrange? This is the text. I'm going to put my close bracket and hit enter. So you can see it's now properly arranged, giving me the first letters capital. So I'm just giving you this highlight or this as a hint. So in our training, during our assessment, you should take notes. You don't submit something like this. You must make sure they are properly arranged. So if I want to also fix up data gathering, data processing, I don't need to go back and do all that. I will come over here and click on this little drop-down icon. I call it the angry rabbit. Okay. Okay. So follow us in our training. You understand why I decided to give it that name. So I'm going to double click and it brings up all others. So this is now properly what? Arranged. So I'm going to take away what we have here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to highlight the range. Then I do what? Right click. And then I say delete. I'm going to delete it left. So I say delete. Okay. But here is a problem with our proper function telling me ref #ref. So this is an error language in Excel, and it's important you also get to understand the various error languages we have. So how do I take this back? I will say Control Z. That's my undo, so that I have this over here. Okay, so that's if you take it away, you also notice what the other informations have also been pulled out. So it therefore means that a good way to do this would have been to create a column and be able to get those information sorted out completely. All right, so that's for the steps that are all over here. So do same also for these options we have here. Go to proper, tab key, we highlight all this, but let's take the first. Okay, this collecting, double click on that information here. So that drag it down. So all right, So this should be taken down. I'm sure you have taken this down. Okay. Now, I want you to understand that the data required for analytics is based on equation. Okay, it's always based on, most times, equation. So based on the requirements of those, who might be in charge, giving you those tasks to work on, the necessary data, data which you definitely want to use as your inputs to the analysis have to, first of all, be identified. Okay, be identified. Let's say, for an example, in my country, Nigeria, might be we are preparing for our forthcoming election. Okay, and everyone is informed that there is going to be accounts for those who will be going to, prepare themselves ahead to get their voters card and all that. Okay, now to the organizational institution who is in charge of those enrollments and all that is required, they will be looking at specific variables regarding those the citizens who are getting ready for the election. So variables here are what we then refer to as the names of these persons, their age, their state of origin, and all that. So when it comes to data analysis, things like this, such variables must be specified and obtained. And you need to know that data here can be numerical or categorical. So all these are important for you to take note of. So ladies and gentlemen, this is just all about what the data requirement specification is all about, okay? When we talk about data requirement specification, we are basically looking into the data required for your analysis. How is it based on? And I said most times it's based on questions, it could be based on findings, could be based on experiments and all that. So for data gathering, which is also known as data collection, it is the process of gathering information on certain targeted variables, which you have identified already when you are doing this process of data requirements. So once you have fulfilled these tasks, you then move to what? Data gathering. Here, you gather those informations on certain variables identified as data requirements. So the purpose of all this is to ensure accurate and honest collection of your data. And you must also take note that data gathering ensures that your data and that the data you are gathering is accurate such that the related decisions are going to be valid. So data collection provides both a baseline to measure and also a target for you to improve upon. So you should also know, I will mention in one of our classes, that data can be collected from various sources. Okay, it could be from the web and all that. It could be from databases of companies, to the informations from other sources. Okay, so the data at that point is being obtained. And another thing you need to take note of is that when you're obtaining such data, two things occurs. It might be that the data is structured and may not, be structured. So where it is not structured, it calls for you to look into doing, proper processing and also proper data cleaning in order to ensure that relevant information are, are what you are working on, so that you take away those dirty informations and inaccurate informations. So at that point, it's important for you to understand that data gathering is required to be subjected to data processing, because you have to gather your data before you then look into processing that data, and then look into cleaning the data, then look into analyzing the data and communicating what you have just looked into. So let's talk about data processing. Now, data processing in this context, I want you to understand, first of all, that the data that is collected must be processed. You have collected the data, that was quite all right. That data must be processed or organized for your analysis. Now, this includes structuring the data as required for the relevant analysis tools. For example, the data might have to be placed into columns, into rows, and that's what we refer to as table. Okay, the data given to you might, or you sourced for, might have to be placed in a tabular format. So in that case, it is your duty to understand that this has to do with what? Processing data, processing data. Now, where you want to place it in your rows and columns now brings us to Excel, because we can't talk about rows, columns without you having an understanding of the most common tool here, which is within a spreadsheet called the Microsoft Excel. So you can see that there is always a connection, because the Excel spreadsheet is divided into those sections too, the rows and columns, what we call record and fields. So you must take note of all these because they are important for you. Okay, now that you have understood data processing, it's also important for you to understand that data that is processed would be ready for the analysis only when it has been cleaned. Data that is processed will be ready for the analysis only when it has been cleaned. Now, various data analysis techniques are available for you, to understand, or maybe you want to derive conclusions based on certain requirements. They are all available for you, as well as the aspect of data visualization may also be used to examine the data in graphical formats to obtain, might want to obtain additional insight regarding the messages within the data. There are also, for those of us who join the training, who are coming from the statistics line, you also need to understand that statistical data models such as correlation, regression analysis can also be used to identify the relations among the data variables. Now, what I want you to know is that you being able to, ensure that your data is in order, or you being able to move into analyzing that data, the data must first of all have passed through the aspect of data cleaning. So you can only analyze, you're only to analyze your data when you know you are done cleaning it. So the aspect of data cleaning ensures that your data do not contain duplicates, your data do not contain errors, because you need to know that data cleaning is just the process of preventing and correcting those errors I've made mention of. There are errors of blanks, there are errors when your data is not trimmed properly, and all that. So there are several types of data cleaning that depend on the type of data. For example, let's say you are working on a financial data, might be you work in a bank or you work in a financial institution, and you're working on a financial data. Certain totals might be compared against reliable published numbers. Okay, so likewise, that quantitative data methods can be used for outlier detection that would be subsequently excluded in your analysis. So it depends. What I'm trying to say is that it depends on the type of data. And part of our training classes will look into how you handle your data cleaning properly. So you need to know that data that is processed, organized, and clean would then be ready for analysis. So these steps must be followed. These steps must be followed because it is a process, that requires additional data cleaning, additional data collection, for you to be able to now begin, looking into how you can actually do what? Analyze. So once you're done with that, then the result of your data analysis must be reported. And that's where data communication comes in. The result must be reported in a format, must always be reported in a format as required by the users to support either their decision or might be the one to move up with further action. So the feedback from the users might result in additional analysis most times. So the data analyst, as a data analyst, you can choose which data visualization techniques you want to go with as per data, communicating your data. Do you want to work with tables, with charts? Which of them do you think is going to help you in communicating the message clearly, and efficiently to your users? So there are tools that facilitate, this, making it easier for you to pass your message and also to tell a data story in a clearly manner. So ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I believe you have gotten insight on this, on this, as it's important for you for this to serve as a basic backbone when looking at data analysis with Excel. And if you remember clearly, when I was talking about the analysis aspect, I made mention of the columns, the rows, and all that, the spreadsheet, which are important for you to look into. So remember, this is important. So let's proceed. Now, before we dive into how to go about using Excel in data analysis, you need to get comfortable with something I call the Excel interface. So whether you're a beginner or you're just, it might be some of us, so most times some persons will say they are refreshers. It's still essential and important that you are conversant with the Excel interface. For instance, the ribbon, for instance, the worksheet, the cells, the formulas. So you can see where I am. These are the ribbon section. Okay, you can see where we are in the moment is the worksheets. Where I clicked inside the worksheet is called the cells. The cells. Now, Excel, your analysis here are always going to be done formulas. So to find your formulas, you have your formula tab at the ribbon section. If you go over there, you will see the auto sum formulas for summation, logical formulas when you're working with criteria and conditions. Okay. Then you also see the financial formulas. You see other formulas for maths, for lookup and reference, for dates and time, for text. You see formulas for more functions. Okay, so all these are formulas that are important for you to get acquainted with when handling tasks here. So I want you to remember that Excel is all about making your life easier, and I am here to ensure that that happens. Now that you conversant on the ribbons made up of the file tab, home tab, insert, page layout, and all those tabs, I want you to now understand what we call add-in features in Excel. Now, you must know that Excel capabilities are vast, but to unlock its full potential, we need to talk about Excel add-ins because these are like power-ups for your Excel analysis. From data analysis tools, we have lots of visualization tools also provided. So Excel add-ins supercharge your toolkit for you. So how do you go about that? Come to your file tab on the ribbon section. When you get to file, scroll down, you see this option below called more. So if you don't have more, you will see options. Click on it, select options. Once you have selected options, a new window pops up. Come down and select this option, says add-ins. Click on it. Now, when you click on the add-ins option, okay, it takes you to another new page. On this new page, all you have to do is to come down. You will see this option below your screen that says manage. So come over, click inside this box where we have Excel add-ins. Okay, so in yours, it may not have been selected by default. So ensure you tick on the drop-down option here, select Excel add-ins and click on Go. Go. It will then bring this window. On this window, you are to tick on all these options, both your solver, tick, and you can ignore Euro currency tools, tick analysis tool pack, VBA analysis tool pack. Then you say, okay. So like I said, these add-ins, they are going to supercharge your toolkits. Let's check where the use toolkits might have been applied on. So to find them, go to your data tab. So on your data tab, you come towards your right, you'll see where we have data analysis toolkits, which is now there, and solver under this group called the analyze group. So this is just one thing I want you to know because I am just trying to demonstrate how you can find them, how you can enable or activate them, as we have done, transforming your Excel into your ultimate data companion. So once you have understood this, then you are already set and good to go. You're already set and good to go. So I believe this is a quick one on that. Now, before you start with Excel functions and those tools which we have activated, found on our data tab, okay, there are some basics that need to be covered first for you to gain mastery using Excel. So let's start this Excel journey with understanding, these basics information I want to share with you. Now, you must know that Excel happens to be the world's most popular spreadsheet software. And this very software is developed by Microsoft, okay? So, and I think that was far back, September 30, 1985. And since then, Excel have met lots and lots of requirements. There is no organization you will go to and you don't see the impact that it actually provides. Okay, so it has also utilized the online platform too, okay, where you also meet up with other versions, and get everything on cloud. We have the Google Sheets, we have the Excel Online, and other aspects that are important. Okay, now I would also want you to know that Excel can be used for complex calculations, not just simple calculations. Because time to time, a lot of persons ask that question. You can do a lot of things with it, from typing, in what you want to enter, which is the aspect of data entry. And of course, we always begin our class by telling you that you can, type in your name. So if I want to type in my name, come over here, type in my name. So it allows you to do that. Okay, so I'm typing my name, I'm typing your favorite movie, and all that. So once you type in any information in Excel, the next thing you're going to do is to hit on your enter. Okay, you must hit the enter key to exit the cell edit mode. Because once I'm in a cell like this, there is an edit mode that is already activated, meaning that I can edit it since I type in. It's just like I'm coming here to enter another information here, like home. You can see that there is the cursor still highlighted here. I can enter information. So that is already in the edit mode. So to leave the edit mode at all times, I will click on what? My enter key. Enter key. Okay, you can see HM. I have to click on my enter key to be able to leave there. So as you can see, you can type both. You can also type both numbers too. If I'm putting a number, maybe a tail number, you can also do that. You can type in text. It allows you to type in text, it allows you to also type in numbers. So most times for numbers, we normally, if you want the first number to appear, we normally put an apostrophe before the first one. So if I'm putting an apostrophe here, and we'll be expecting this to pop up, but I must make sure it's on edit mode. So you can see now, if I click on that, depending on what I'm actually working on, I'll be able to go about this that are important here. All right, so it allows you to go with both your numbers and also your text here. Okay, now did you notice that certain parts of the sheet changed after you typed this information on your own system? Try it. Okay, you'll notice that certain parts changed. So those parts that changed are things we'll cover, in what we want to look into now. So let's go more further. Now, first thing you need to know is what we call cells. These are cells because the Excel spreadsheet are made up of cells. I entered these names and phone number on this cell. Now, what is a cell in Excel? A cell is just the smallest unit in Excel. The cell is what we use to store our data. All these are data variables, so we are storing them in the cell. So if you look at the previous example where I typed in my name and my phone number, okay, I did that in different cells. So So Excel is comprised of rows and columns. The rows are are the ones you see that are represented as numbers. If you look towards this side, see 1, 2, 3, 4, those are rows. While the columns are represented as letters, A, B, C, D. Okay, so in order to reference a specific cell, because you must reference a cell, in order to reference it, what you will do is that you will type the column letter where that cell is, followed by the row number. For example, if I come to this cell, okay, there's a reference for that. Look at this section called the name box. You see it is written D1, D1. So that becomes the cell reference. So D1 will be is going to now be like the first cell in this worksheet. And you can see that it is in column D and in the first row, which is row 1. Okay, which is row 1. So this is important for you to take note of. So if I'm saying now practice, type in your first name in type in your first name in E4. I believe you know what to do. Okay, type in your first name in E4, you know what to do about that. So I want to see you doing that. Then the next thing you need to understand is what we call range in Excel. Now, what are ranges in Excel? Ranges are those parts there that are comprised of 2 or more adjacent cells. 2 or more adjacent cells. What do I mean by that? Where I'm highlighting from column B to column C. That's a range. You must know that the cells can be in the same row, can be also in the same column like this, or in the same row like this. There's no problem, it's still a range. Or even in multiples, it's still a range. So now that you understand what Excel range are all about, I want you to take your time, play around it, highlight your range, play around the ranges. Now, the next thing you also need to, basic information you need to know is what we call a worksheet in Excel. Now, you must know that it is the worksheet that is comprised of these rows we can see here and the columns. Okay, so this is a worksheet. This is a worksheet. So the Excel has a default worksheet number for rows. For rows, the total number is 1,048,576. So this is the total number of rows that we have. Then for the columns, these are for the rows. Then for the columns, they are 16, if I can remember, 16,384 columns. Okay, so that's what we have here. Okay, so if we are saying that we are in a worksheet, we then need to ask ourselves a question: is why are we having sheet 1 below? It means that we are in worksheet 1. So that means the sheet 1 here serves as your page. You know, your notebook, you have different pages, page 1, page 2, and all that. So this is like page 1 in this Excel workbook. This is what we call a workbook. So in this very workbook, we are in sheet 1. So you can create as many sheets as you want. To create sheets, come below, you see this plus sign, click on it. Once you click on this very plus sign here, it takes us to what? Sheet 2. It takes us to what? Sheet 3. And you can rename them. For example, we are here. If we want to rename this sheet, I'll right click on the sheet 1 name title. Then these options pop up. I'll select rename and I give it a name. I can call it basics, basic. So, and I hit my enter. Remember, I always say, if you don't hit your enter, you will still be in edit mode. So hit your enter to activate basic. So once you're done, you have just named that. You can also put it in a color. So you also right click, come to tab color and choose red. So you can see it's now in a color. You can see basic, it's now in a color. So I'll just click basic to come over here. So that's what we mean by your worksheet. It's just like workspace. Here you do your data entry and analysis. Now for the workbook I made mention of, is also important because the Excel file is also called the Excel workbook. Now it is the workbook that contains your worksheets. So it can contain more than one worksheet. You can see we created more than one. Okay. So you should take note of that. Now, Excel has a default file type because all files have their type. Okay, for example, you're using Python to code and all that, and you want to convert what you've done to your Excel, you must type in the name of the file and also end it up with the file type. So for Excel, this is the file type XLSX. So anytime you see any file in data, any data file that ends with this, sent to you that ends with this, just know that it is an Excel file. For CSV files, you always see CSV with it. Okay, so Excel allows you to use data from one sheet, okay, to another in the same workbook. That's why I'm able to. I saw your message. That's a P. So your message. So that's the reason why you saw that I was navigating. So it allows me to use data from one worksheet to another. It also allows me to connect between different workbooks. If I am opening another workbook, if I say I want to open this workbook called, if I'm saying I want to open a workbook here, like stock inventory management template, I'll also be able. So let's create a blank new workbook. So if we're opening this very blank new workbook. Hello, give me a minute. I'll call you shortly. Yeah, good evening. Give me a minute, please. All right. So if we are talking about connecting workbook, of course, Excel allows you to do that. For instance, I just opened a new workbook. So you can see we are in workbook 1, while I just opened of recent workbook 2. So if I want to connect with workbook 2, all I'm expected to do is to come to my view tab. If I come to view tab, I will come to the window group. You will see this option called view side by side. So I can come and click on that view side by side. Then that enables me to go to workbook 2. Now we are in workbook 2. How about workbook 1? I will go and bring workbook 1. So you can see I can now view it side by side. This is my workbook 1, while this inside is my workbook 2. Okay, so Excel allows you to connect. One of the data retrieval functions we use here to connect between workbook 1 might be you have a data in workbook 1 you want to use, to analyze the data in workbook 2. Since you have it popped up here, we can use a tool called the VLOOKUP to be able to extract information to retrieve data from this workbook to connect it to this workbook, and other linking methods, which we'll cover in the course of this training. So I just want you to know that it allows you to connect between different workbooks. So I think I've answered this question. Now, there are also basic calculations you must, also understand that exist here in Excel, because time to time, there are basic operators which can be used for, like the operator which we call the plus for our addition. Okay, we have the minus for subtract. We have the divide. We have the divide. We also have other ones. You can see the divide. Okay, we also have the asterisk. That's what we use for multiplication. Then if you want to raise to power this and all that, we use this too. So they are all available on your keyboard. So we just check. So all these are basic operators. Remember, we are talking about basics. They're all basic operators that you must take note of. Okay, so let's say, for example, we want to find a result. For instance, 5 plus 5. All I'm going to do, I will start with my equal sign. You always begin with your equal sign. So I will say 5 plus 5. I hit my what? Enter to leave edit mode. It gives me what? 10. So let's take this here. So we'll say equal to 5 plus 5. It gives me 10. If I want to also subtract, I'll also do the same thing. I'll say equal to, maybe I want to subtract 10, let's say I want to subtract 2 from this 10. I'll say equal to 10 minus 2. I say enter. You can see it's giving me as 8. If I want to divide, maybe you're asked to divide 200 by 10. The same thing I'm going to do, equal to 200 divided by 10. So it gives me what? 20. So to bring the formula to be displayed here, click F2 on your keyboard. Everyone, click F2. So if I'm coming here and I'm clicking on F2, you can see it brings what I've entered. So most times we add the sum function, but I don't want to talk about that now. So proceeding the class, you can add functions like the sum. It's also used for all that purpose. Where you now hit your enter, it also gives you this. So it's important that you understand how this works here in Excel. Okay, now another important thing I would love to talk about quickly is what we call cell reference in Excel, because right now you have known how to perform these basic calculations. You also need to use cell references to make your calculations much quicker and dynamic. Now, if we type equal to sign followed by a reference to a cell, the reference to a cell will mean maybe I want to bring in column G row 2 cell. So if I follow it by this cell, okay, if I follow it by this cell, we can reference the data stored in this cell and bring it here. Now that I've highlighted it this way, I can click enter. What I just did was that I went to reference the data stored in column G row 2 cell, and I brought it to column G row 9. Same, I can go anywhere here to also reference data stored in column F row 3 here. Okay, can see it brings that data here, whether it's a text or a number. Okay, data stored there. So we can also perform calculations using this same way. Instead of manually typing our numbers all the time, we can use reference, that the cell, we can just reference the cells containing those numbers instead of just doing it manually. So all these are important for you to just practice so you can understand. So you can see in this example I just did here that each time if I'm changing the data in the reference cell, it automatically reflects. It's going to reflect now if I'm changing the data. So let's say remember we referenced the data in column G row 2, we brought it to column G row 9 cell. So if I want to bring if I'm going to this cell now, the original source, and I'm putting 2, and then I click enter, what do you observe? You observe that it also did what? Automatically reflected in this cell where I referenced it. If I come towards where we have in column F row 2, where we have plus sign that I reference here, and I'm putting a name there. Maybe I'm putting good boy, and I hit enter. You can see that it also what? Reflected automatically in column M row 9. So this is what cell referencing does for you. This is what cell referencing does for you. So you must be conversant with cell reference, the basics of cell reference, because it's important. Now, one of the advantages of using cell reference in Excel is that we can, decide that we want to use, a particular cell reference in other cells by copying the cell or by doing what we call dragging. Okay, dragging, where you want to drag the cell to adjacent cells that are nearby. For instance, let's say we are here. Let's say we have an information here. We have an information here for number of boys, and we have an information for number of girls. And number of boys, based on calculation we got before, we have 10, we have 13, we have 14, we have 15. Then for number of girls, we have 5, we have 6. Now, maybe we want to sum both of them together. So I'll come over here and they'll say total. All right. Now for our total, I believe everyone can see my screen. So I believe you can see my screen. So for the total, what you're going to do, okay, following the normal basics that we did here. Okay, so remember it's addition. So I'll say equal to, I can use the sum function, use it to sum, or I can go direct and link and just state out that what we have in this cell plus what we have in this very cell. I hit my enter. So it tells me we have what? Total is what? 15. Now, I made mention of dragging. That's one of the advantages of using cell reference. That with your cell reference, you don't need to enter that calculation again. All you need to do is to drag the Angry Rabbit icon down, and it will fill in the total for the rest. And you can see how it worked. If you don't want to do that, you can double click. You can even undo this and copy. You can also copy this cell and put here and paste, like click, paste. It will automatically command the formula also. You can double click to command the formula. So this is important for you because sometimes we would like that our reference will not move. There are cases like that. Maybe you don't want there are cases where your reference will not move even when you drag it down. It will not move unless you use the formula in the other cell. But that's not it. Okay, you can make it work. You must not come and re-enter the formula before it will work. So that has to let you know that there are different type of referencing. There are different type of referencing. So there are times you'll be given a data set to work on. You notice that, why is it that I entered the formula for the first, I dragged, it's not giving me the results for the rest? Why? So that's a different scenario entirely. So in such a case where you tried doing this method and it did not work, okay, you have to use what we call absolute reference. Absolute reference. So let's assume that we have a particular information here. Let's say we have a particular information here, and this information contains products, contain products you sell. So we have product A, we have product B, we have product C, and product D. Okay, then it also contains their price. So their price is this 300, this 400, this 500, this 500, and this 350. Then it also contains the cost price of this product, or let's say it contains the quantity. So we say quantity. Okay, so you can see right here what we have here, that it contains the quantity. So for quantity, this 120 was sold, 340 was sold, 380 was sold, 100 was sold. Then we want to get what will be our amount, sales amount. So for our sales amount, you're also going to use those basic operators. So for the basic operators, you have to do this. I would love to organize this quickly. Okay, the title here. All right. So to go about this, I will come towards where we have amount. Okay, and then do the calculation for amount. Now, if I'm working by this, remember what you said, you're equal to some tab key to bring in bracket. You want to multiply your price times quantity. So I'll select the cell for price, then use my asterisk times total quantity we sold to get how much. That's 36,000. So I can, if I want to put it in currency, come to number group where we have home tab. You see general is highlighted. Always put currencies, amounts in currency. So I'll select currency. So that gives me 36,000. So if I want to calculate for the rest, what will I do? I double click. It gives me the rest. Now, this is an error language in Excel, hash. Each time you find the hash, know that the cell, the column width size is small. So you go and expand it. So you can see it brings it up. All right. So now that we have done this, this is still on basic aspect. Now, how about when you tried, let's say we are clearing all this, and the situation where you try to drag, it did not work. It now requires that you go and enter the formula again. Is that how you'll be doing when you have a data set of up to 500 or up to 5,000? No, you're not expected to do that. So you need to understand referencing. If, for example, let's say discount was given. Let's say there was a discount given, and the discount was somewhere here. We gave a discount. We gave, let's say the discount given was a 5% discount. 5% discount of 5% was given to these various for the sales of this product. And you're told that to compute the amount, you must also take into consideration the discount that was given. So now, if you try this, now you understand that this previous method is not going to work. Let us try it. Now, what we have to do at this point is that we'll come here and say equal to, we can still use our sum. If we don't want, we leave it. So we can say equal to sum. We hit our tab key. We are going to multiply. Let's say since we want to do that, we are going to capture this both and then multiply it with the discounts so that we know what should be left if we are removing that 5%. So I can even add minus 5%. Okay, that's the discount. Sorry, it's your enter key. All right, so I'll come here and say equal to sum, hit my tab key. We have price multiplied by quantity. Okay, multiplied by quantity, then also multiplied by the discounts. I hit my enter key. It tells us what is giving us minus 1/8. Minus 1/8. Okay, good. Now let's add a new column. Now, to add a new column, come to the top of that column, right click. Then you see the option that says insert. That's what you select. So it has inserted a new one. So I want to move this amount to this column here. Let's say amount. Then I want this to be, okay, I want this to be the amount first, then with discounts. Let's say with discounts. So that this makes more sense. This is a live class. So I'm going to remove the minus sign and keep 5% there. Okay. So now that we have done that, I'll come to amount and compute this first. So say equal to price times our quantity. Yeah, I hit my enter. So the amount is this. Then with discounts, I'll clear this. Let me clear this. So go back by it again. So I'll say equal to sum, hit our tab key, 36,000 multiplied by the 5%. I hit my enter. It tells us what 1/8 discounts. 1/8 discounts was actually given for the sales of this product. So now let's try to drag it down to others. Now that I try to drag it down, did it give me for the next? It did not. Instead, it's showing me what? 0. Why is it showing me 0? Why is it showing me 0? The reason why it's showing me 0 is because of the fact that it is what? Not well referenced. And that's the scenario I'm trying to point out, that there are cases where this very one only works when your data is within that range. But when your data is outside the range, like this 5%, you're expected to come, first of all, and do what? Change the referencing style to a referencing style we call the absolute, using or hitting the F4 button on your keyboard. That means you're manually typing your $sign before the column, and also most times, before the row. Okay, so what we are going to do at this point for it to also command the formula to others, because the only way you can do for others at this point in time is that you have to come and do what? Calculate that function and that formula again and hit enter. Okay, but if you want to drag it, that is, you clean this and do it from scratch, but that would waste your time. So to get this work, what you're going to do, you come back here, use F2 to bring back the formula. F2, good. So where we are multiplying amounts to the discounts. So it is the discounts you're going to turn to an absolute reference. So to do that, come to the K9, that's the cell reference name, K9. Come over there, come on it, either inside or outside. Click on what? F4. F4. Once you click on F4, it's going to put the $2 sign for you. So this make it an absolute reference. So watch when I hit enter now, and I say I want to fill for others. When I drag, it's going to do what? It captures it for me. You can see why, because I went ahead to turn this to an absolute reference using the $2 sign before commanding the formula. So practice this, is important. So you can see the function again, okay? The function I used, and the sum I used for that, and also where I applied the F4. So the F4 can be used to do notable things here in the world of referencing. It's very important for you to take note of that. So this is important. So same way, we also have what we call the partial reference. You use that very one when you want to also look into other key aspects. For example, things like the multiplication table. you can also do that. If I'm going to sheet 2 and I say I want to call this multiplication table, so what I'm going to do, I name this multiplication table. Okay, so I will right click on it. I love giving them a color. So this is my, okay, this multiplication table. So if I come over to the multiplication table sheet, let's say I want to do a calculation for 1 to 5. So this is 1, 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. Then I'm coming over here also to say this 1, this 2, this 3, this 4, and this 5. Okay, now these are multiplication table. Multiplication table. So what am I going to do here? Now I want the multiplication table to be wrapped up to affect the table here, that where the table stops, column F. So I will do what we call merging. So you come and merge this A to F column together and row together. That's for the title. So I'll highlight, then I'll come towards this group called alignment group. You see this icon here. We'll call it the merge. So I want to merge and put multiplication table at the middle. So I'll click merge and center. So then go here to color fill it. Color fill it. Maybe I'm using red and white. Okay, so you can see that's multiplication table. That's how to do that. So we also have what we call text wrapping, maybe of type. It fills the cell. You come and click this wrap text. It's going to break it down. For example, since it's wrapped, I'm coming and I'm entering more information, and you see it's breaking it down. That's because I've enabled text wrapping to be able to wrap that text for me if it's filled up. So let me undo this. So now that you understand this whole key concept, so now how do you calculate and compute a multiplication table? You also be able to do that using the reference. So this time around, we're going to use what we call the partial reference. Okay, the partial reference. So for the partial reference, unlike the absolute that we hit the F4 key once, here you're not going to do that. So let's see how we can do this for this multiplication table. Okay, so to go about this, I will come here. We know what 1 times 1 is. I'll say equal to 1. Now that I've captured the first one, I want to multiply with this one. Okay, I'm going to use the partial. For the partial, it's a combination. You will bring, for this first cell we selected, which is the first data we want to multiply, you're going to put your $sign before the column and row. So I'll click F4. It brings the absolute. I'll click F4 again till I achieve the one I'm looking for. So it takes the dollar in the middle. I say, no, I want it before. So you can see what I do. Then I'm going to multiply now. Say multiplied by this one here. So once I do that, for this very one, I'm going to, whenever it's the second and data that you're multiplying, put the $sign at the middle. So if you don't want to come to the middle and type in $sign, you can still use F4 anywhere you are. Click F4 first. No, not this. Second, yes. The $sign is now between. So once I'm done with this, I can hit my enter. So it tells us what? That 1 times 1 is 1. Now, if I want to calculate for others, like 1 times 2 is what? 1 times 3 is what? I will just drag. If I drag, it tells me 1 times 2 is 2. And of course, we know 1 times anything times 1 is that very number. So once I'm done with this, the next thing I'm going to do, I want to compute for 2, 3, 4, 5. What will I do? I don't have to go and enter the formula again because I've already locked it using the partial reference. So all I'm going to do is to drag this down. It tells me, remember, 2 times 1 will still be the same. So how about to confirm this? 2 times 2 need to be what? 4. So how do we go about that? From here, I can drag this down. So you can see it complete the multiplication table, telling us what should be there. So instead of, I just hit the angry rabbits. Hit the angry rabbits, let it vomit everything there. So that's how to compute your multiplication table. You know, it starts in 12. So 6, 7, 8. Let's go to 9. Let's go to 10. Let's go to our 11. Let's go to 12. So we want to do this also here. Also here. So for this, we have 6, we have 7, we have 8, we have 9, we have 10, we have 11, we have 12. So make sure you complete yours. So you can see as I'm entering them, I hope you saw something happening. You saw something happening. It was just computing itself, computing the multiplication table itself. That's the power of the partial referencing. So since I want for 6, since 6 was not predefined before I started, I will have to come and drag these two to command the formula towards my right. Wow, wow, wow. Command the formula. Wow, wow, wow. You can see 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 12 is 24. So I can also come here and click this down. Or this is even wasting time. Double click the angry rabbit. If I do that, it puts in everything I need for my multiplication table. So you can see basic things you need to know in Excel. So for the headers, you need to put this in. You can decide to put this in the tabular format, depending on how you want, or you put it in your border. Put it in your border, you highlight everything. Come here, see this little icon. That's what we call the borders. Because the line you're seeing inside are called grid lines, which you can take out. To take them out, come towards where we call the view. You will see under show tab, you can remove your grid lines. You can even remove your headings. Maybe you don't want column row to appear. You can take them out so you can see how this is structured now. So now I can come over here and do what? Highlight this, put in. I will click on this icon that drop down, select all borders. I can even format my borders to color fill. So I will click on the border there, come down to line color. Line color. If I click on line color, I can select any color I want here. Any color I want here, I can use red. Then I can change it also to thick border. So this calls for you to have formatting skills. So you can see it here. So you can also decide to put all this in a particular color. Okay, and you put the header here in another color. So ladies and gentlemen, you can see that we have just built our multiplication table. Okay, so please try this, and master it. So for this, right click, I've told you what to do. What do you then do? Click on the merge and center. Okay, move this J. Double click each time you want to edit a cell. Click on it. Hold your hand back on to explain it. So this is our multiplication table. Miramar multiplication table. Can give it name. So do yours also and go about that. So ladies and gentlemen, this is very important for you to understand how the referencing styles here in Excel works. Okay, how it works. So now that you've understood this, let's take the last session for today because it is a session that is important for you to understand, how it works, because as an analyst, time to time, you'll find yourself, performing and handling different sets of data. So you must have key understanding on how to work. So now let's jump into our first data analytics topic, what is known as the if statements. So I'm going to rename this to what? If statement. So take just one example and load you with assignments. So if statements. All right. So for the if statement, I'm also going to give it a tab color. Give this one red. Good. Okay, so if statement. Welcome. So for the if statement, I want you to imagine Excel making decisions for you based on conditions you set. Because the if statement is one of the most popularly used functions in Excel. And as a data analyst, you must be very good with it. Now, what does the if statement do for you? It allows you to automate processes and analyze data in ways that seemed complex before. Okay, it's just like if we say we want to explore real life scenarios, like maybe we looked at discounts before over here. So might be that was in sheet 1 where we looked at a discount scenario. So might be you want to determine discounts for a firm, you want to categorize your data, you want to prioritize your tax. Okay, there are a lot of things the if statement will do for you firsthand, and it's important that you get to be acquainted with this very tool called the if statement. So I don't know so far if you have any question. If you have any question, you have any questions, so we can look into these if statements properly. So like I said, that the if function is one of the most used functions. I call it if statement, I call it the if function. So let me name that to if function. That's my first way to understand this better. Okay, so we have just 4 minutes to go, and this will get us set with if. We'll take one example, then next class we continue. Now, the if function is one of the most used functions in Excel. And what it does is that it helps you check whether a condition is met. And if it's not met, or if it's met, it will then return one value if true and another value if false. Now, let's look at an example. Might be, let's say we have a question, okay? Or we have a data here for a price of the previous product, and we also have where we want to call our results. So the prices might be 1,000, 2,500, you've budgeted 25,000, budgeted 3,200, you've budgeted 15,000, you've budgeted 30,000, budgeted 5,000. Good, good. And now you will have a this to analyze, this input case to analyze. And part of what you want to do is you want to know if a particular amount might be the data set amount, but you want to check if a particular amount here is greater than, let's say, greater than 20,000. Okay, so you have it this way written that let those greater than, we said, greater than 10,000 be indicated as high. Otherwise, no and low. Okay, I believe this is good enough. So what do? You use the if statements to do that. Whenever you're working in line with to check conditions, if a condition is met or not, that's the duty of the if function. I'll come to the result cell and say what? Equal to if. Always assign your equal to your functions. You see the if appears, I will select it. Now the logical test, these are what we call syntax. Every function here contains syntax. The logical test means, or what it requires is, it just means what is the condition you want to check. We are looking for greater than 10,000. That means is the price. Price becomes the condition you want to check. Where is price located in this set of data? This is the column, the price column. So I will select that cell that contains the price. I will say comma. Now, I will remove that comma because there is a condition that is attached. That if those cells that are greater than 10,000, I'll put my greater than sign and put the amount, which is 10,000. Is this cell greater than 10,000? That's what I did. I say comma. The value, if true, let it return what? Let it return. If it is true, let it return. I'm going to put this here. If it is true, I want it to return what? Question says high. So I will say high. Now, I want to bring back this formula using F. So I'm going to hit my enter, come here and say F2. So the formula now, since I have the result I want it to bring, which is high or low, I'm going to impute it within this double apostrophe quote here. So you have to start. Now, why I'm doing that is because these are what we call strings, they are characters. So whenever you are entering data based on conditions like this, and you're using the if function, for your result outcomes, since they are in characters, always put them in your apostrophe. So ensure to do that. So to go about that, I will bring the first and put in what? High. So now that I have captured my high, okay, now I said that let those greater than 10,000 be indicated as high, otherwise low. In those that are not greater than, those prices are not greater than 10,000, so the function should return what low for me. So what do? I'll say comma. I also bring back an apostrophe here. Put inside what low. That's all. I'll click enter. So you can see that for the first price, the result brings up low. The function brings up low as in 5, because 1,000 is not greater than 10,000. So if I want for others, all I'm going to do, normal referencing, and we do what? Hit this angry rabbit. So it vomits everything for me. So here I can find out that, well, for 25,000, the price we have in row 5 is high. High, that means it's higher than met that condition. 15,000 met that condition. This met that condition, met that condition. So this is what the if statement does for you. This is what the if statement does for you. So it's one of the most used functions in Excel, which as an analyst, you must always, get acquainted with, because time to time, you'll be needing it to perform your tasks here. You'll be needing it to perform your tasks here. So I don't know if anyone have any questions, so that we can look into another example. Okay, since there is no question, let's take another example. So let's assume that we have a question here. Let's go to a different sheet. Okay, let's come down. So let's say we have a table given to us containing name, containing grade of the students, and also containing those who pass, either they pass or fail. Okay. Now, and you're told that the table below contains or is made up of students' names and their grades. Okay, for a particular subject, not stated. So you're asked to complete this very column. So let me just impute this border here. So what you're asked to do here, let's say required. Please also be entering the data as I'm constructing it in your system too. So you're required to compute the result using the if formula. All right. Remember how to insert your cells here. Okay. So for these ones that are longer, remember what I said, you wrap it. So I'll come, select and click wrap. You can see I wrapped it. And I can bring this way. Can also decide to pull it out like this. So let's get done with this. So we are asked to compute the results using the if formula. Now we are told that anyone who scores from grade 70 or higher passes. It's regarded as a pass. While anyone who scores below, that's less than, below, less than 70 fails. So this is a condition. And if you remember what I said, that you use the if function when conditions are involved. So let's run this quickly. So what we are going to do, okay, see the data here. So for name, this is Tom, this is Jerry, this is Simon, okay, and this is Fred. So for Tom, let's say Tom scored 95, Jerry scored 67, Simon scored 10, okay, let's say Simon scored 10 and Fred scored 70. Good. So how do you analyze this using the if function? I hope you have captured everything here. So now that you have captured this, what you're going to do is to first of all begin by bringing up your if function. Using assigning your equal to, you say if, you hit your tab key. Now remember that the if formula contains the syntax, which are divided into 3 main parts. Remember what I said, logical test is the condition you're looking for. Value if true. If this condition is met, what should the result appear as? Value if false. If the condition is not met, what should the result appear as? Here we are saying pass if met, fail if not met. So take note. So what do we do at this point? What do we do? So what you are going to do here is this. This is what you're going to do here. Okay. Now what you're going to do here is this. I will come here. Now, what is our logical test? This is our logical test. Column B, row 16. That's where Tom's result is. Now, we said that if a student grade is 70 or higher than 70, that student passes. Now, come, is Tom's grade greater than 70, comma, that becomes my logical test. If it is, let the function return what? I bring my apostrophe. Bring F2 to bring it back in case it disappears. Let it return what? Pass. But if not, I'll say comma, bring my apostrophe. Let Excel return what? Fail. That's all. So since 95 is greater than 70, the result has to be pass. If it doesn't appear pass, then know that something is wrong from your syntax. So don't forget this syntax, please. This B16 is the value in B cell B16 as the reference for it. So I'm asking, is the value in, what I'm doing here is now sending a message asking through Excel, through the if function, that is the value in B, in column B row 16 equal to 70 or greater than 70. That's what I did here. I then moved that if the value in column B row 16 is greater or equal to 70, let it return pass. But if it is not greater than or equal to 70, let it return the word fail. I will now hit enter. It says pass, meaning what? Tom met that condition. To get for others, I will hit the angry rabbit. It gives me for the others. Pass, fail, fail, fail. Now, there is something we need to look into. The question says grades from 70 or higher. So why is it that we are having Fred as fail? Fred is not supposed to fail this course because Fred scored 70. Question says grade 70 or higher. Fred scored 70, so he also passed. To correct this, when you're working and you notice that a particular line did not meet up with your criteria or condition, check your syntax. Don't just rush to conclude that something went difficult for you. So what will I do? I will go to the first row. Hit F2 to bring out the formula. Now, it says grade 70 or higher. After my greater than, I'm going to put equal to, because that means the student's grade must be either greater than 70 or equal to 70, regarded as pass. So now that I put equal to after greater than, I will hit enter. So let's drag it down again using the angry rabbit button. You can now see that Fred passed because Fred scores is equal to what? 70, even if it was not higher. If Simon scored 71, he still pass because it's higher than 70 or even equal to 70. So if I hit enter, automatically it brings out pass. So this is what this function called, or formula called the if, does for you. So this is where we're going to round up this class. The assignments have been shared to the group. So you're expected to work on the assignments and also practice this to master this perfectly. So thank you. See you next class.